Day one of the intervals. Just did the typical, spent 20 minutes delaying the run, making sure I had everything when I knew I had everything all the time. But that's how it goes, it never goes away. So today is 8 rounds of a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 minute of running and 1 minute of walking. Gonna do that 8 cycles, 8 rounds, and then I'll have a walk afterwards to make sure I get up to that time of 25 minutes, because that's where I'm at with progressing my walks, is 25 minutes for the first time. So that will make up the difference when there's some time left after the intervals. So the strategy. So it actually went a lot better on the 20-minute run for distance the other day than I thought it was gonna go. The fact that I was able to run for a good part of the time, even though slower, albeit my first time running that long since the surgery. So I actually have some more confidence in myself. So instead of it just being a jog and then walk, I'm gonna try to push it a little bit more, knowing that I have a full minute of a walking recovery. I've got my Garmin ready, it's got it set. I've got my watch, everything I need. So stop delaying. I'll see you on the other side. Okay. So I finished the 8 rounds of intervals, 1-to-1, 1 minute run, 1 minute walk. I'm doing my 9-minute walk to round it out to make 25 minutes. So at first couple intervals, I was like, this is easy. This is a cake, I love this. And then number 3 interval came up, and then number 4. And then the heat started kicking in, and hills, which I'm not used to running as many hills right now, kicked in. So I was really happy that it was only 8 rounds and a 1-to-1 ratio. Some things to think about of how to pace yourself. How hard should you push yourself during those runs? There's 2 things that I think about. One is, what's the ratio of work to recovery? In this case, the work is the running, the recovery is the walking. And so it's a 1-to-1 ratio, 60 seconds of running and then a full 60 seconds of recovery or walking. So there'll be a time where there's a bias or a predisposition to more running and less walking. Maybe a minute or 60 seconds of running and only 30 seconds of walking. So that's going to give me an idea of how hard do I want to push, knowing I'm either at a equal parts run to walk, or is there a deficit? In the case where if it was 60 seconds of running and maybe 2 minutes of walking, then I need to earn that 2 minutes. I need to work really hard, push myself harder, knowing I'm giving myself twice as much recovery. And those are things that I'll tell myself in my head, because we always want to pull back or not exert as much. But telling yourself that of, hey, I have a full minute to recover after this is really helpful. And that brings me to my second point. Telling yourself, when you're pacing yourself, always thinking about what's to follow, what's to come. So in this case, if I'm running for a minute, knowing that this is going to be followed by 60 seconds. A lot of times we get stressed or anxious. We think about things in their entirety. If we break them up into small individual steps and just think each interval, that's it. Just think one interval at a time. What do I have? That work becomes a lot more manageable. So thinking of what do I have to follow this is going to dictate my effort. Not only what is to follow this, but how long is it in compared to what I'm doing now. So some things to think about, because there'll be times where the point of this for me is more running, less walking. And each week, just having something to tell yourself when you want to pull back, when you want to not push as hard, telling yourself, well, either I got this much recovery, I should appreciate that, I should take advantage of that, and I want to make sure I'm giving my all when I am running. So the key is progress and more and more. So that was a good amount for me today. Next run will be the same ratios of 60-60, but it'll be 9 rounds. And the key is always increase the stimulus, increase, not by a lot, not by too much. We don't want to get too much too soon and get injured, and slowly over time. So for me, luckily my cardio isn't horrible because I have been doing some spin and some walking, and I had a pretty good foundation before going into the surgery. But the key for me is my body, my spine, the graft. I need to make sure that I'm being smart and not going too much too soon in the beginning. So these ratios really keep me honest. They keep some guidelines with it, and they still give me some parameters and so I can see progress, where each run I know I'm doing more, either more rounds or biasing the ratio towards running more than walking. So hope that was helpful. I don't look at my pace while I'm running. The only thing I do glance at is my heart rate, so I can start to develop that mind-body relationship of how do I feel in checking in, what's my heart rate. I talk about the analogy for that is like when you're driving, if you check the speedometer when you're going, that way you start to build some knowledge of what's it feel like when you're going this fast, when you're feeling this effort. You'll start to know how long you can hold different paces based off of what heart rate range you get in. Gear 1, Gear 2, Gear 3, or Gear neutral with the walking. So later I will look at the stats and break that down some and fill it into the chart so we can just get some data, some baselines to keep me pushing, to keep me going. So as always, I feel better after than I did before. It's just that initial just getting going is the hardest part, finding a way to break through those barriers. So I will see you later for the evaluation, and then we'll do this again next time. So welcome to the first stats chat. This is the master template that I'll use every time. I gather this data, I extract this from the Garmin watch, and I always include the link that has all the data, but I only included the things that are most important to me, that I think will help keep me motivated, help see progress, or help push me a little bit more. So you can see here is just a repeat saying, what are the intervals, how many rounds? But what I want to know is, what's the total distance that I covered? What's my average heart rate for the entirety? And then I want to see, of those running intervals, what's the distance? How far did I travel? What was the amount of time total running? I want to see what was the average pace while I was running, and what was the average heart rate response, and then also the elevation. So these are going to give me snippets to each time seeing progress compared to the last time. And if for some reason I feel like I wasn't able to complete or my back pain got worse, I have options to either repeat that day the next time, or I could regress and do less rounds or fluctuate backwards on the intervals. But ideally each time, this is what I'm filling out and this is how I'm progressing. So for today, it was my first run outdoors. It was 1-to-1 ratio, minute on, minute off for 8 rounds. You can see the total distance that I accumulated was 2 miles, and that's including that walk at the end. Average heart rate, 150. How far did I get? I got 1 mile. And so the average pace in that 8 minutes total of running was an 8-minute pace. I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty good. My average heart rate was 152, so a little bit higher the average for the running, which makes sense, than the average of the entirety. Difficulty, I ranked as moderate, and I felt content. I felt pretty good. I feel like I accomplished what I was intending to accomplish. So this is establishing our first baseline of where we're at. Next run, we'll be able to see what was it like compared to the last one, and so on and so forth. I also include the link that has all the other data. So you can see this has everything. It has elevation, pace, heart rate, where I was running, conditions, and all that and so forth. So this is a good reference point. I just copy this link and put this into the chart. But this is it. This is day 1. Feel pretty good. We'll see next time how it goes in comparison. And each time, this is again going to help me to see progress, keep me motivated, keep me going. So we'll see you next time. Okay, what's on the docket today? Today we have the 1-to-1, 60 seconds of running, 60 seconds of walking for 9 rounds instead of 8 rounds. I'm choosing to do it on the treadmill today instead of outdoors for a couple reasons. One, it's about 100 degrees and it's hot. It's super hot. So that's the big reason. And 2, just to try to be smart, keeping in mind that the treadmill deck is more forgiving. I'm being conscious of impact and my spine and the fusion. And even though I feel pretty good from the other day from running outdoors, I want to just try to be smart about it. So the treadmill belt's a little bit more forgiving, and also then I can be a little bit more systematic or consistent about my pace. Since my pace the other day was an average of 8 minutes per mile for the running, this time, since it's indoors, so it's not as hot and it's going to be on a flat level, I'm going to have my run be at a 7:30 pace or 8 miles per hour and be consistent with that each and every time. So ideally the progress today will be 9 rounds instead of 8 rounds. It will be holding a 7:30 pace instead of an 8-minute pace for 9 rounds, and then doing the walking afterwards. And as usual, I'll give my little synopsis and summary afterwards. How did it go? My reflections, and then the deep dive in the stats later on. So Godspeed. I know it's like obvious that running indoors on a treadmill when it's not hot and when flat is so much easier, but man, it's so much easier. That felt good. I'm not sweating like a pig. Yeah, I knew it was good when the 8 miles per hour, the 7:30 pace, when I was able to like zone out during it. There were sometimes I had to remember, oh yeah, I've got a walk coming up. And that's like at that level of exertion or intensity or effort level, if you can zone out, that's a good sign versus constantly just thinking of, oh my gosh, when is this over? When's this over? Is it over yet? So that was really good. Towards the end, my heart rate did start getting close to 170, which is when I start to hit that, what I think is that lactate threshold where I need to walk pretty soon. But for the most part, it stayed in the 160s, which was good. I did get a small clip of me running with my phone, and I had kind of an aha moment and a reminder. I just set the phone on the console and I was running. It was moving because I'm used to using a gimbal now, so it's more smooth. But it was like, oh yeah, that's one of the things that I recommend is either having like a water on the treadmill or something that gives you the feedback, and then your mission is make that move less. Instead of thinking about all these individual body parts, just having one item of focus and using your vision for feedback. So my goal was, can I move the phone, the camera, as little as possible? Keep it as stable as possible while I was filming. And then I was like, oh, here's a good teaching moment too. So I did a little no finger and did bounded, so you could hopefully see the difference. My phone does have the little gimbal thing built in, but yeah, I think it should hopefully show the difference. But just a reminder for whenever you're running on the treadmill, using your vision, using an external object for feedback to glide and not bound. But other than that, we'll see how the stats look. I feel good about that. I feel good about being able to do a 30-second faster pace than last time, do another round of that, so one more minute of running, and it felt good. I didn't feel exhausted afterwards. I'm glad I did it on the treadmill indoors before the storm comes. So I'll see you later at the stats deep dive breakdown, but today's a win. I feel good. See you next time. Welcome back to Stats Chat. So today I chose treadmill, as I mentioned before, and my goal was, can I hold that 7:30 pace or 8 miles per hour throughout? And I did that. I feel good about that. The problem with the treadmill and the Garmin watch is the statistics aren't as accurate for when it comes to distance, not at all. So what I can gather and extract from this isn't quite as much. But if I look at here, you can see that my average heart rate was lower, 144 beats, which makes sense. It was cooler conditions, it was indoors, it was flat elevation, no elevation on a treadmill, versus last run was outside and hotter. Got a little bit further, had 1 minute longer of running. The average pace was a 7:30, and my average heart rate for the running average was 144. So that's a good sign. That was my goal. That's why I chose to have a faster speed than I did outdoors, knowing it was indoors, knowing it was better conditions, and of course elevation is 0. Afterwards, it felt like it was fairly easy, and I felt energized. I felt good. So that's what we got from today. Progress all around. I feel pretty good. So it was a record. It only took me 25 minutes to get ready and actually get out here to run. it's supposed to rain. And I was like, well, maybe I'll try to get done before. No, I'll wait till after. You know the song and dance. But we're here. This is the final run of week 1. 1 minute of running, 1 minute of walking, 10 rounds today instead of 9. And I'm doing outdoors. And I want to try to see how my pace is. I want to see if I can beat that 8-minute pace that I did last time I did outdoors for the 8 rounds. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm feeling decent. This is my first week back to work, on my feet a lot more, just getting used to all that, the swing of things. And yeah, excited to be doing this, excited to have the accountability of this to keep me going, and appreciate all of you. So I'll check in with you guys afterwards. The strategy is to just check in my heart rate throughout, making sure that I'm not putting the foot down, the pedal down to the ground all the way, always saving some in the tank. Hopefully the first few intervals will feel pretty good. We'll feel like, wow, this is easy. And then get harder towards the end. I will catch you guys after. Hopefully it doesn't pour on me, and hopefully I'll have some good news to report on how it felt, how it went, and my pace. I'll catch you in a little bit.
9 meters, recover. 1 minute, 0 seconds.
I'm only 7 intervals down. 3 to go. Heart rate 177. I'm getting close to redlining. I just want to pop on here. I forgot my headphones. Lost motivation. But just focus on the tried and true. Pushing the ground back. It's the only thing I'm thinking about. Looking straight ahead. Something eye level in the distance. Keeping it stable and still. Lean forward. Hinging at the ankles. Get that momentum. And just push the ground back. And slowly.
Next step. Run. 1 minute, 0 seconds.
So I got 3 more to go. My mind's telling me this is only 1 more than last time. And we're live. Another way to play mind games is my goal has been less than an 8-minute pace per interval. My watch tells me after each interval what it was. So I saw a huge hill coming up, and knowing, okay, it might be an 8:30 or a little bit slower than I want, but knowing it's on an incline, so it's okay. Focus on the push, focus on the lean, and end up being around a 7:30 pace. So don't psych yourself out, but play mind games, be generous with yourself and forgiving, but don't forget to push yourself. Push with the touch.
1 minute, 0 seconds.
Finished the 10 rounds on the 5-minute walk.
5 minutes, 0 seconds.
I finished in time before the storm. It's great. I feel good. I had to psych myself up. Last run, best effort, knowing that it was my last chance to get a faster pace in. So that pushes you forward. You don't want to have that same mentality in each and every interval, otherwise you're gonna run out of gas. When we say empty the tank, you gotta wait for when it's appropriate, towards the end. You don't want to empty the tank too early. But I feel good, I feel accomplished. I think, like a lot of things, running, I don't like running. I love what it does for me. I love how it's transformed me in the way that I feel, I think, my anxiety, my body composition, and just mood, everything. And just like anything, when you start off at something hard or challenging, you don't want to do it. There's a lot of resistance. And I was feeling that in the beginning of today. First interval, first push, it was at 8:05, 8:10, something like that. Not my goal. I was feeling kind of tired, feeling a little discouraged. But don't think about the entirety of all 10 intervals. Just take it one by one, knowing you're working for a minute, and then that full minute to walk and recover and reset. So I did that, and slowly but surely, my paces got faster, almost too fast. I had to slow down a little bit. I got closer to redlining today. I hit some more hills than I'm used to. But I have a feeling when I look at the breakdown with the stats chat later, I'm gonna feel good about it. I feel like it was faster than my goal of an 8-minute pace, and knowing there was 1 more round. So we'll see what my heart rate was, the average heart rate. I know it definitely got higher, but that's what it's all about. If I was a morning person, more disciplined, this would be a fantastic way to start the day. And the rest of the day you feel accomplished, energized, but my body, I don't do well in the mornings. I take some time to wake up my body and mind, but man, do I feel good now and jazzed. So I'll take it. Feels good to have the first week done in the books. I look forward to posting this and just getting the routine and the rhythm of pumping these out and just see how things slowly but surely start to improve. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well in your journey and following along, and hopefully I inspire some of you to get out there. Love you. Stats Chat, welcome. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty pumped about this. This is why I have this form, this master spreadsheet, old school, just so I can see everything in place. So if we look comparatively, if we look at the heart rate compared to last time when it was outdoors for 8 rounds, 156. So 6 beats higher on average. I went 1.34 miles for the running. My running time was 10 minutes total instead of 8. The pace, so not only was it more cumulative total volume of running, but the pace was faster. My goal was just to beat that 8 minutes per mile that I did last time I was outdoors. And I feel pretty good that I was able to do a 7:27 pace, which is even a little bit faster than I did on the treadmill. And so that gave me the confidence from knowing the last run. But heart rate average was the same overall, 152. So I feel like my effort, how hard I'm pushing, is pretty consistent where it needs to be. And the other part that makes me feel good is it was 138 total feet of elevation versus last time when it was outdoors, it was only 85. So I'm seeing progress. I'm seeing the running pace get faster. We're adding more volume, more cumulative time. Difficulty for this one was hard. It was. And I felt content afterwards. So all signs point towards green to go, where I'll be able to now, next week, go into a different interval ratio. It'll be still the same amount of time of running, 60 seconds, but only 45 seconds of walking and recovery. We'll do that 8 rounds, 9, and then 10. And we'll see. We'll see each time have some kind of a goal or something to push me. And we'll see how it ends up going. And we'll follow this same routine. So hopefully you can see the benefit of this, and I encourage you to do this yourself. In addition, just having the data on the watch, having it all here right in front of you as you go along, at least for me, is extremely motivating. So feel good about this week, and I'm looking forward to and excited for next week. I'll see you next time.